Hello, beautiful people. Good morning. You are tuned to Radio Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay, and you are listening to a program called Your Time to Shine, All Things Self-Love. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm super excited that we get to spend the next 25 minutes, half an hour together. And I have a very exciting topic lined up for today, so I'm super excited to share it with you. So my name is Celine Harlow. I am your host. Yes, my family name sounds very strange because I'm French. I was talking to somebody, I was calling 2 degrees yesterday because I had something that I needed to sort out with them. Sort out with them sounds very serious. It wasn't at all. And anyway, I was giving her my family name, and she's like, "Oh, that sounds really French." And I started to laugh. It's so awkward. I think I should have gotten my husband's name instead. It would have been so much easier for me, but it is what it is. So anyway, my name is Celine, and I am the host of Your Time to Shine. And for the past 4 years, I have been training women from all over the world to help them find self-love and the courage to anchor their dreams into reality, which sounds very fancy. That's actually my tagline, anchoring your dreams into reality. But it is what it is. So I talk a lot about self-love, self-worth, self-acceptance, self-care, and we're actually going to talk about self-care today, so I'm really excited to share my tips with you around that. I also talk about, business mindset. I talked about money, mentality. I talk about how you can, if you have a message that you want to share with the world, if you have something powerful, if you are a holistic practitioner of any kind and you want to heal the world in one way or another, then I'm the person for you. So anyway, welcome to this episode of Your Time to Shine. Let's get right into it. Okay. So in this episode, I want to talk to you about people-pleasing, and I am quite sure that I'm going to mispronounce that word at some point in the show. So people-pleasing, people-pleasing, people-pleasing. So people-pleasing. So what is people-pleasing? So people-pleasing is when you put your needs last, when you put yourself, certainly not first or second or even third, when you put yourself last in one way or another. It's when you refuse to have arguments. It was when you avoid arguments at any cost. It's when you agree with whatever is said in a group because you can't. It's when you don't have opinions and when you refuse yourself the right to have opinions. I have a friend like that. It's so annoying. I remember asking him a question about something that we were working on together as a group, and his wife was in the group as well, in the project anyway. And so I was asking him, so what do you think about that, whatever it was? And he said, oh, whatever the wife said. And he said that about every single thing, and I thought that was so annoying. I just wanted to get to know him, and I wanted to find out who he was and what his opinions on our project were, and what he wanted from that project. And he was just like, nah, whatever the wife said. Oh no, I agree with my wife. Just ask my wife, whatever. And I found that very frustrating. So I have another friend. Apparently, I have a lot of friends like that. I have another friend, and we wanted to have we wanted to have dinner together at a restaurant, at a fancy restaurant, and we were trying to decide which restaurant we wanted to go to, and I didn't know what she wanted or what she liked to eat, and I just wanted to have this nice time with her, and I kept asking her about what she liked to eat and where she wanted to go, whether it was in Havelock North, Hastings, Napier, whatever. And she just said, oh no, whatever you want. And I just wanted to know whatever she wanted so that we could, make a decision that would benefit us both. But anyway, I can't remember what we ended up doing. It was a long time ago. So anyway, so it's something that happens, people pleasing is something that happens with so many people, and it's like the number one thing that people come to talk to me about or want to receive advice on. I think that was grammatically correct. I'm not sure. Anyway, and it's something that a lot of people seem to be struggling with. So I'm really excited to be talking about this topic with you today. So it can definitely take different shapes and forms. So like I mentioned earlier, it can look like avoiding arguments at all costs. It can look like denying yourself the right to have opinions. It could look like actually constantly second guessing yourself. So it's something that I used to do a lot as a teenager. I guess that all of us as teenagers do that. But it kind of, when I was a teenager, I was really obsessed with what people thought about me or what I thought people thought about me. And I was constantly asking my friends, oh, did I say the wrong thing? Or did I offend you? Or are you feeling angry with me? Or, oh, I'm so sorry I said that. I didn't mean that, blah, 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 blah. And I was constantly excusing myself and apologizing for my behavior, and I was really obsessed with, whatever people thought of me. And obviously I really wanted to be accepted in my class, and I wanted to feel like I belonged in my in the school environment, which didn't happen at all. It was I was really a loner. But I was really obsessed with that, and I was constantly kind of trying to fit myself in I was trying to constantly meet people's demands of me and people's expectations of me, and I'm sure that a lot of people can relate with this. So it was really exhausting, and I'm super glad that it stopped. But I can see myself that sometimes I can catch myself doing this again. So yeah, let's talk about this. Obviously, I'm going to benefit from this as well. So I really used to spend so much energy into that, and I was really trying to mold myself into something that people might like, and it never really worked because I felt like I was playing that game. Sorry, my nose is itchy for you guys who are watching me on YouTube. I'm sorry, I'm not picking my nose, okay? I'm just itching my nose and trying to be polite at the same time. So anyway, and I was trying to really fit myself into something that people might like, and it never really worked because I felt like I was playing that game of life, and I was trying to play that game of popularity and being accepted in my class, and with kids my age, or actually above my age. I skipped 2 classes when I was 9, so a lot of kids in my class actually were like 2-3 years older than me. It was really embarrassing. Anyway, and so I was kind of feeling that I was playing that game of life, that game of school, that game of being a teenager, whatever you want to call it, and I just didn't understand the rules. I didn't understand what everybody else wanted from me, and I felt like everybody else understood the rules of the game but me, and I really stank at that game. I really was not winning at the game of life. And so what ended up happening is that I was really constantly in this space of fear, and I was in this space where I was constantly expecting somebody to tell me that I was not enough, that I was, I don't know, inappropriate, that I was, that I had said something mean, that I was, I don't know, that in one way or another I was not being enough, or I was being too much, which is kind of like the other side of the coin, right? And it was really taxing me. It was really taking so much energy of me because I was constantly in this space of expecting people to reject me, and they often did. So obviously I learned a lot of lessons from that experience, and I want to share them with you. So when I was 24, so I was living in Australia. I was living in Brisbane, and I was taking 2 semesters at the University of Queensland as part of a university exchange program. And so I don't know, anyway, I ended up taking this course with the Art of Living Foundation called the Happiness Program, and I know that I have mentioned it in the show before. And one of the things that I learned during that course, when I did it for the first time, I've done it several times since. It is so good. If you have to do a self-development workshop, or if you want to learn more about meditation or breathing or calming yourself down and somehow being happier, you need to take the Happiness Program with the Art of Living Foundation. And we have teachers coming from Auckland and Wellington actually coming to teach the course in Hawke's Bay. Whenever possible. So if you're interested, then get in touch with me. I would love to, to get you to do the course. It's so good. And anyway, one of the principles that is taught in the Happiness Program, as taught by the Art of Living Foundation, is this. So do not be a football of other people's opinion. And the first time I heard this, I was like, oh yeah, like that sounds really good, but like, who can do this? It's easier said than done. And at that time, I was really constantly, I was feeling like I was in this fast-flowing river, and I was constantly bumping into like a river after a storm or after like heavy rainfall, and there were like stones at the bottom of the river, and I was hitting them, and they were like, I don't know, trunks, and they were like branches, and they were like, I don't know, whales in the river. Not that there are whales in rivers, but you know what I mean. I was constantly being pushed by people opinions of me, and those are represented by the well in the river and the trunk. Do you say trunk? No, it is trunk. Yeah, like a big chunk of wood. Yes, and stones and whatnots and piranhas and anything. And I was constantly kind of being pushed this way and that way, and trying to understand what people wanted from me. And obviously, it changed all the time, and I could never get it right. And it was really during that time, like my time in Australia was a really transformative time for me, not transformational time for me. Not that everybody cares but me, but anyway. And so during that time, I really lost myself. I lost myself in people's opinions and judgments and expectations of me. And it was this really challenging time when I realized that I could no longer do this. I had completely lost myself. I didn't know who I was anymore. And I reached this point where I thought, okay, I can't do this anymore. it's too heavy, it's too difficult, it's too complicated, and I can't live the rest of my life like this. So I need to find another way to live my life without being bullied by other people's expectations of me. And I felt like suddenly the price to pay, which was my identity, who I was, what I wanted from life, was too great, was too great. And and so the way I went around this was that I actually realized that I could not love myself, and I could not accept myself. I did not know who I was, and therefore I could not accept that person because I didn't know who she was. And so the way I went around this was that I allowed the universe to love me. And it sounds very silly, but it's something that really changed me profoundly. And so that's my first tip for you. So if you are a people pleaser, you are likely to struggle with self-love. And if you can't do this for yourself, if you cannot love yourself, then you have to allow a force that is bigger than you to love you. And it doesn't matter whether you believe in a God, in source energy, in unconditional love, in creator, in the universe, or whatever. It doesn't matter whether you believe in the divine or not. I believe that, we all believe in something that is greater than us, even if we can't put a name to that energy. And I don't know, you can call it your highest self, you can call it your enlightened self, you can call it your soul, you can call it your, I don't know, vibrational energy, or your eternal self, or whatever, your heart, I don't know, whatever. I believe that we all know on some level that there is something that is greater than us. There is something that is pure and powerful in this universe, that in our world. And if you can allow that energy, whatever you want to call it, then you can actually feel yourself releasing that need to be constantly people pleasing. I would like to find another expression to say this, but anyway, it is what it is. So if you feel like you cannot love yourself, if you feel that you cannot accept yourself, if you feel like you cannot nurture yourself, if you feel like you don't even know who you are and what you want from life, if you feel like you have been people pleasing for so many years that you don't even know what your needs, what your own needs are, then the first step for me is to actually find that space where you can be loved and accepted and nurtured completely and unconditionally anyway. And the best way I have found is to really allow that energy of unconditional love, whatever name you give to it, to love you. And it is a really powerful space to be in, and it's going to heal you in a really powerful way. So, if you don't believe in anything, which I think is impossible, but it is what it is, if you believe in that, then so be it. Perhaps, one of the best times when I feel that connection to the universe, to unconditional love, to God, to source, whatever, is when I am in nature. Actually just yesterday, I woke up very early. I had a 7 a.m. call with my self-development group. Anyway, whatever, doesn't matter. And then it finished at 8, and we're still in winter here, and so I just went to the bathroom and I brushed my teeth, and I just looked out of the window and I noticed out of the corner of my eye something like really dazzlingly white and blinding, and it was the Kawika mountains, covered in snow, and it was so beautiful. There was no clouds covering them, and you had that snow on the mountains and the morning light, and that was such a beautiful moment, and I really felt stillness, I felt presence, I felt peace, I felt clarity in that moment. And I felt like in that moment, and it perhaps lasted I don't know, 20 seconds, 20 minutes, I don't know, and I really felt deeply connected to all that is, and it was a really powerful moment. So it can happen when you just go for a walk or look at the ocean, and you can feel that deep sense of peace and stillness, and you can feel that love as well. So that's what I want to say about that. So that was my tip number 1 for you. If you cannot love yourself, then allow the universe to love you anyway. So my second tip for you is, how is it serving you to be a people pleaser? So that's a really powerful question. I'm really excited to share this with you. So if you are people pleasing, if you're constantly in this space where you're trying to serve everybody, and you're trying to make everybody happy, and you're trying to do everything for everyone so that there's no arguments and there's always our harmony in each and every of your relationships. Sorry, I'm speaking too fast and my brain is going really fast. I'm trying to calm myself down. So if you are people pleasing, you are getting something out of that situation. So you may actually be thinking that you're the victim of the situation, that it's happening against your will, and obviously in one way or another it is. But when you believe that it's happening against your will and you're the victim of the situation and there's nothing you can do about it because everybody in your life is mean and cruel and wants something from you and you're such a kind and compassionate person, you can't do anything about it. You're actually taking your power away from the situation and you're denying yourself the right to heal, because you're saying, well, actually, I need that person to change and that person to change and that person to change and that situation to change, and then I'll be able to step into my power. So I want you to really invite you to perhaps adopt a different perspective on that situation. So from my perspective, people pleasing is an agreement made between two people. One is the people pleaser, in which case it's going to be you probably, and the other one is the one getting people pleased. I don't know if you can say it, but you know what I mean. So there's one person, serving the other, and there's the one who is like being served, which sounds really cool. But you know what I mean. So what I'm interested in knowing here is, how is it serving you to be a people pleaser? What are you getting from the situation? When I dig into that topic with my private clients, what usually happens is that we'll find that when you do everything that people want you to do, even if it comes at a cost of not knowing who you are, of losing yourself, of denying yourself the right to be happy, or whatever, or peaceful in the moment, this actually helps you to make sure that you receive love. So in other words, you do everything for somebody. You do everything for your partner. For example, you clean the house, you clean the bathroom, you clean the toilets, you go do the grocery shopping, you do everything that you need to do, and also you make a beautiful dinner, and you bake a cake from scratch or something. And you kind of do all these things, and then you're like, at the end of the day, so look, I did all of this, so are you going to love me now? Are you going to accept me now? Are you going to thank me? Are you going to do something for me now? So you're kind of like giving all of this love, and it's kind of like, I don't know how else to say it, but it's kind of like, so you're giving all of this love and you're kind of expecting something back. And if you don't receive that something back, which is, often the case with people pleasing, then you're going to feel resentful, you're going to feel sad, you're going to feel lonely, you're going to feel like you don't deserve love, and so on. And rejected. Forgot to say that. So what often happens here is that you may not feel that you're actually worthy of receiving unconditional love, that you're worthy of receiving care, that you're worthy of receiving abundance without having to do anything, And this often comes, from having a perverted, a corrupted version also of understanding of corrupted version of love. So we have many different definitions of love, and we know conditional love, we know mean love, we know tough love, and there's also unconditional love. Yeah, so when I say love to you, well, you may say, well, yeah, love sounds great, but I have to do something in exchange, and it comes at a cost to me. I cannot receive love just of who I am, because I'm not even worthy of receiving love anyway. So, it may be that your definition of love comes from your parents, and you may have learned that, you can only be loved conditionally. It comes at a condition, it comes at a cost. You need to do something in order to receive love. So, well, it's one way to do things, I must say it, but it doesn't work really well. So, when you actually do something, and then expect somebody to love you back, well, you're kind of forcing that person to love you, and you're forcing something out of the relationship. It doesn't really work. That was really poetic of me. So my question to you really, and what I'm trying to get to here, is how is it serving you to be a people pleaser? What are you getting from the situation? Can you think of certain situations where you're constantly or consistently people pleasing, and stepping into that role of doing everything that everybody wants you to do, and how is it serving you to be the people pleaser? What are you getting out of this? And what would happen if you weren't people pleasing? I guess, one thing that happens is that, if you've been people-pleasing for many, many years, you have conditioned the people around you that you can always be dependent on. You will always be the one who cooks a delicious Christmas dinner for the entire family, 20, 30, 50 people, and everybody can rely on you. If they need something from you, then you will give it to them. That is people-pleasing, you guys. And so, what happens is that, if you have conditioned or condition the people around you to depend on you in one way or another, what can happen is that if you actually suddenly say, well, no, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm not going to be people pleasing, I'm just going to do whatever I want and, sod everybody. what can happen is that you're actually going to create a lot of confrontations and arguments because people are like, yeah, but you've been doing this for so many years and it's been so good for us, so can you do it more? Like, I want you to do this. Like, oh, you're just being so selfish. So one way what actually happens, people from let me rephrase this. What can stop you from no longer being a people pleaser is that you just don't want to have those arguments, you don't want to have those conversations. And it can happen, it's really real. So you have to dive into that belief system, you have to dive into the fear of not receiving love, you have to dive into your understanding of love, you have to dive into your into what you're getting from people pleasing. And once you understand what you're getting from this, then you can release it, because you understand what you've been getting from that situation. You can reframe the term of the relationships, which is really interesting and really powerful to do. My next question to you, of course, is how can you allow yourself to receive unconditional love right now? What is your ability to receive right now? What does it look like? What does it feel like? And how can you increase your ability to receive right now? If no one can love you unconditionally, then how can you give that to yourself? Yeah. I guess that one aspect of this question is that if you're spending a lot of time people pleasing, it probably comes because you have something that's empty within you and you're trying to, I guess, invite, or even in some cases force people to love you and to fill that hole inside of your heart, inside of your being, because you can't love yourself. And so where there should be self-love, there is nothing. There is that emptiness, there is that sadness, there is that loneliness, and you're kind of inviting people to love you. You're kind of inviting people to give you what you cannot give to yourself. And that is where a lot of codependent relationships, take place. I definitely experienced that when I was younger, when I was falling in love with guys, and I was trying to, get them to love me in a way that I could not love myself. And it never really worked because, it is what it is. But when I actually became able to love myself and to accept myself and to really know myself and love myself anyway, then I was able to feel that hole within me, and then I was able to have much healthier relationships with others, whether they were romantic relationships or not. And of course, my third tip for you is to get over your fear of confrontation. So what can happen is that, you guys, I'm a Libra, so I love harmony, I love peace, and I really detest confrontations and arguments of all kinds. And so for many years I used to really avoid arguments, I used to avoid confrontations, and for me, being a people pleaser was a way to avoid confrontations and arguments, because I was constantly giving people what I thought they needed, what they needed. And I was kind of like, well, yeah, great, so I'm giving you what you need, and in exchange you're just never angry at me, with me. It never really worked. So my third tip for you is to actually get over your fear of confrontation. So it's easier said than done, obviously, but I would like you to start, talking about what it is that you need. And if you don't know what it is, then actually sit yourself down and ask yourself, so what do I need right now? It could be that you need to go and have a nap. It could be that you need to go and have some food. It could be that you need to, spend 3 days in silence. It could be that you need to be with yourself for a little while so that you can actually rediscover yourself and just spend time with yourself. And then, once you understand what you need and from yourself, from others, from life, then you can actually start to request that this take place, that you get your needs to be fulfilled. And really, confrontations and arguments are a part of life, and they're not a bad part of life. I know that we get scared of people getting angry at us and with us and rejecting us and so on. But there is something powerful that happens during confrontations. This is a time when you can really reflect on the way your relationships have gone or been happening. Sorry, I don't know how a better way to say this. For, up to that certain amount of time until the confrontation, it can reframe the terms of the relationship. And it's a really powerful time for you to heal, for you to be honest, for you to be authentic, for you to be self-loving. So, I would like to invite you to have a confrontation in a healthy way, obviously. So you don't need to, open that bottle of anger that you've been, storing within your heart, like, all that anger and that sadness that you haven't been expressing for all these years. I would like you to actually have a peaceful argument, why not, with somebody that you care about and that is going to respect you and going to love you anyway. And it's a very powerful place to be, you guys. It's a very powerful place to be. So perhaps you actually need to have an argument with yourself. You need to get over your self-sabotaging patterns, and you need to be really brutally honest and authentic with yourself. That would be really powerful. Have an argument with yourself. Sounds good. Good, so that's what I want to share with you. I guess there's so much more that we can talk about, when it comes to people pleasing. But tip number 2, what are you getting out of this situation is going to be really powerful. And if you want to dive deeper into, into your patterns around people pleasing, I would love to explore this with you. And it's going to be a really fun process for us to explore, to go through together. So you're welcome to get in touch with me. But for now, I really want to thank you for spending this time with me. I really appreciate this time with you. Yeah, there's so much more that I would have wanted to say about that topic, but I guess it's enough for today. So I would love to hear what you got from listening to this episode of Your Time to Shine. Make sure that you let me know, and you can get in touch with me on Facebook, on Instagram. My business page is called My Dawning Light, so MYDAWNING Light. And I also wanted to say to you that you can, if you have a burning question for me, if you want me to talk about a certain aspect of self-love, I would love to do that for you. So you can send me a private message on Facebook and Instagram, again, to My Dawning Light, and I would love to actually answer your question on the show, because this is a really great opportunity that we have here to talk about self-love, to explore self-love, to explore the power of self-love together, and I would love to really make the most out of this time. So if you have a question for me, make sure that you message me, and I would love to answer this in the next episode. Okay, cool. So thank you so much for sharing your time and your energy with me. I really value you. I value that you're here with me. I value that we're exploring this topic of self-love together. And I want you to know that you're amazing, that you're fabulous, that you can absolutely, totally love yourself right now. And I'm sending you so much love, and I'll speak to you same place, same time next time. Bye.